you, and Zoom will notify. And then, of course, the Facebook page starts to, well, okay, I got to close that or I'm going to start to get an echo. Okay. So, oh, I got to get my agenda here. So we'll get started in just a minute here, folks. July 2022. Okay. All right. It's 6:31 and welcome to the July 13th, 2022 meeting of the Carmel Mountain Ranch Sabre Springs Community Council. And if you've got any background noise, please mute yourself. If you don't, I'll find you and mute it for you, but appreciate it if people can manage their own muting. And then, oh, I guess I'm Eric Edelman. I'm your chairperson. And I have been a Carmel Mountain Ranch resident for 18 plus years now. And I'm a homeowner and business owner in Carmel Mountain Ranch. We're going to go ahead and do introduction of all the other board members now, and I'll start with Dan Thompson.
Always start with me, Eric. I'm not sure why.
Because you're the first one on the roster, that's why.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just kind of wondered why that was.
It's because I like you best. That's why.
Thank you. Dan Thompson, longtime resident, business representative. We're done.
Thank you. Rich Craigie.
Hi, Rich Craigie. I've been a resident here at Carmel Mountain Ranch almost 18 years now. So just a little behind Eric.
John Schroeder, our secretary.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I've been a resident in Carmel Mountain Ranch for approximately 19 years now.
Thank you, John. Mark Clark.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Mark Clark, Carmel Mountain Ranch resident, Walden, for 19 years this month.
Thank you, Mark. Michelle Mullen told me she was on vacation, unless she's figured out a way to get in from wherever she is. Doesn't seem like it, so she will not be here. Kurt Carlson.
I am here.
And you've been, yes, and you've been a Carmel Mountain Ranch resident and homeowner since 1986. Is that right?
That's true.
All right. I introed for you. Sorry.
That's all right.
Okay. Dustin Leal. All right. No Dustin. I would, well, we'll talk about that offline. Bruce Bergman.
Bruce Bergman, Carmel Mountain resident and homeowner, Fairway Village.
Thank you, Bruce. Larry Fontaine.
Larry Fontaine, Carmel Mountain Ranch resident, 1991.
Thank you, Larry. Kirsten Greer.
Everyone, Kirsten Greer, homeowner since 2017, Walden.
Very good. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of us present out of 11. Unless I missed somebody. Did I miss anybody?
No, not according to my list.
Okay, good. All right. So that means we do have a quorum, so we can proceed with the approval of tonight's agenda and meeting minutes from May and June 2022. Before we go to the approval of minutes, I will point out that Kurt Carlson did have a minor correction that John has already made, and that is Kurt had requested to the mayor's office that something be done to speed up the installation of the parks associated with the development. That was,
There we go.
That was Kurt's addition to the minutes. Does anybody else have any additions or corrections to the minutes from either May or June? And then I'm looking for a motion to approve all 3 of the things that I just mentioned. Okay, somebody have a motion to approve all that?
Motion to approve.
Dan, first, any second?
That's it.
Second, okay. Anyone opposed to approving tonight's agenda and or minutes from May and June? Hearing no objection, we will assume unanimous consent. So that's a 9-0 vote to approve the agenda for tonight and the minutes from May and June. We did not have a quorum in June, so we left the approval of those minutes till tonight. So that is done, and I will send those on to the city. All right, so that brings us to public comment on non-agenda items. So if somebody wants to, I will look for raised hands in the participant window, and I will alert everyone that we do have probably a pretty busy meeting with the parks discussion. So I am going to limit non-agenda comment to 3 minutes. And the first hand I see belongs to Mark. I assume that's Mark Mal. Is that you, Mark?
Yes. Hi, everybody.
3 minutes, please.
Yes, just 1 minute. I would like to have update if you have for me on traffic regarding the bumps, speed bumps, or anything to be done on Wincrest Lane because it's getting really bad.
Yes, we'll ask Kyrie if there's any update from traffic engineering on that. And
Yes.
I personally have not heard anything from them.
Okay.
So-
Also, Eric, I'd like to have a share screen when as we get to the park, if possible. I would like to show some pictures of area of the park, so the park representative aware what is going on with the traffic on Shoal Creek. We just had the very bad accident a couple of weeks ago at same area when is park going to be. And I have a pictures I would like to share. It's just 20 pictures to show. It's all it is. And the picture will tell all the story.
Okay, so you have some pictures you want to share.
Yes, I would like to share a screen and I will show the pictures to everybody. So
All right, so I'm going to give you co-hosting ability for now, and
well, I would like to share, when the sparks going to be discussed.
oh, you want to do that? Okay, all right.
Yes.
So we'll.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know what you're saying.
All right, hey, somebody's got some background noise. Mute. Okay, Kathleen Lippett, I see you have your hand raised.
I don't know
Yes.
what this.
Good evening, Chair Edelman and planning group members. I'm here this evening on behalf of parents and community members who attended the hearing officer meeting where the CUP for the marijuana storefront at 13510 Sabre Springs Parkway, Suites 103 and 104 was considered. At that meeting, we expressed concerns that it was an inappropriate location for a storefront on several grounds. It's an area that's frequented by youth, and like tobacco, attracting young users is essential to the success of a marijuana business. The high visibility, advertising, self-promotion via billboards, flyers, promotional events, branded merchandise, all influence youth use and undermine efforts to prevent their use. And the high THC products sold there are also dangerous to youth and are attractive to the recreational, high risk or heavy user. The location is also proximate to a large residential complex at Evening Creek, where residents reported they were unaware of the pending storefront. The applicant's failure to post a notice on the property informing the public of the storefront is a violation of the land use code requirement and was likely the reason that residents were caught unaware. Parents and community members want to let you know that marijuana storefronts have been a very contentious issue in many neighborhoods since the city began permitting them. Their long-term community influence and unintended consequences deserve far more advance notice and time to consider. Thank you for letting me speak.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay. Any other non-agenda public comment? I don't see any hands raised, so I'm going to move on to the neighborhood police report. Officer Julie Drat.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for having us. And I do say as my Lieutenant Batista, he's on the on here as well. So we'll open up to questions here in just a moment. Again, just want to keep, a reminder. I know school is out. It's summer, it's warm. People want to keep windows open. Just remember when you leave your residence, please remember to lock windows and doors. That way, then when you get home, you can reopen them. Because I know it's tempting to leave them open, but again, it's just an avenue. If somebody sees an open window that they may go and try it. If you have side gates, please keep them locked. Other than that, I think a lot of things have been, I'm going to open up to questions actually. So if you have a question specifically for me or specifically for the lieutenant or just in general, just please let us know.
Okay. Questions for Officer Drat?
Officer Draft, I have a question, and it is for the 72-hour parking on the street. We've got some kind of unusual activity in the neighborhood where people are, 3 or 4 of my neighbors, including myself, have been getting, I don't know whether you call them parking tickets or that pink summons on their car, but they've been being moved on a regular basis. So what triggers that?
That depends. If people have put in on the get it done for 72-hour violations, that's when the parking enforcement would go out to the area. Parking enforcement and or our traffic RCPs would go out to the area, evaluate those reports, like I said, on the get it done. And if they see the vehicles there, they're going to put a notice on it. And then what they'll do is they'll come back. And if the vehicles are in the same place within that time frame, that's then when the parking citation would be issued.
Okay, but somebody needs to call in or do a report online to trigger that?
Community planning, we haven't joined one of these for a while.
Okay, I'm not. So anyways, sorry, there's background noise there. Not mine. But anyway, someone else might need to mute their thing.
I got it.
Okay, so back to the 72 hours. So a lot of the times what happens is parking enforcement, if they're just out in an area, yes, they can look around, but typically that is, as you say, triggered, if you will. Again, if the report's done on the Get It Done app, that's typically then how they would know to go specifically to that area, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Officer Drat? Seems like not at this time, Officer Drat. So we thank you for being here. And if anything comes up between now and the next meeting, we will let you know.
All right. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. CMR Fire Station. No. State Senator Brian Jones. Any representative from Brian Jones' office? No. Assemblyman Brian Mainshine, Rick Hopfield. I didn't hear from Rick. I don't see him here, so maybe he's either joining us late or won't be here tonight. County Supervisor Joel Anderson's representative, Michael Fredenberg. Sorry. Michael Fredenberg. No. Okay. Kyrie Carter with Marnie Von Wilpert, San Diego City Council District 5 office.
Yes, good evening, Eric.
Good evening, Kyrie. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you. Thank you all for having me once again. Like Eric said, I'm Kyrie. I'm the council representative for District 5, Councilmember Marnie Von Wilpert. Just one update from me, and I will open it up to questions. And I do have, or I would like to respond to I know you asked about the potential for speed bumps on Windcrest, so I'll touch on that as well. But just wanted to mention that we did finally pass the fiscal year 23 budget last month. Just includes historic investments in infrastructure, public safety, housing, and many more things. We're making important investments in the fire department and law enforcement. I always love to support our first responders. We want to increase service and all the kinds of things like the parking enforcement and all of the above. Also increased funding for brush management, weed abatement. We know it's that time of year again for fire season. Again, just trying to increase infrastructure funding overall. We have a lot of roads to fix, a lot of sidewalks to fix. So just trying to get those things through for District 5. As for the speed abatement on Windcrest and Seabridge and in between, I believe it's Shoal Creek on and around that area. I also have not heard back from transportation yet. They told me it would take at least 90 days from the time that I contacted them. I believe that was about 40 days ago, but we're just keeping on them on that. I know many of you guys are very, very concerned, as you should be. So we are trying to relay that concern. And I will now open it up for questions.
Okay, I see hand up, Larry.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about a couple things. One, the park and ride parking lot, there hasn't been any activity there, and it's coming up at the end of the year here on the 3rd year since it's been sold, and it's kind of an eyesore, and the community can't utilize it since maybe about a year or so ago. They fenced it off. So for park, different events, overflow from the strip mall. And I was wondering if you can find out what's going on there, because it's just sitting vacant. That's my first question. And then the second question is regarding many of the residents have complained in Royal St. George to New Urban West about trees on the golf course that are dead, that are encroaching close to our properties. And we're very concerned about the fire hazards. And many of the residents have filed multiple requests to New Urban West, and they're really interested evidently in responding. And then finally, they do, they're going to be talking about improvements to park on the golf course. But the question is, what are they doing to our current area? Because they do the basic minimum, cutting back weeds and brown grass, but we're living with a big fire hazard here. And I'd like to see the city enforce them to mow beyond 5 feet that they currently are. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. And feel free to also send me an email if you'd like with any further details or information, and we can definitely offline about both of your questions there.
Can you post your email in the chat, please?
Absolutely.
Okay, any questions for Kyrie?
Yeah, I had a couple, Eric.
Go ahead, Kurt.
So, hey, Kyrie, how you doing?
Hey, Kurt, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Been a while. I had a couple things. I was glad to hear that you mentioned the paving that you guys are looking into. We've been complaining about it even before New Urban West came on board. It's been that long, and the streets are really bad. So appreciate you kind of looking into that for us, trying to expedite that as best as you can. And then the other thing was the parks that New Urban West is proposing. By my calculations, looking at the time that it would take to go through all the phases, because I'm assuming that they're going to be building the parks per phase. So is there any possibility we could expedite the parks to be built all up front? Our community has lost a ton of open space, and it would be, I think, a fair thing to do. It'd be kind of a give back to the community. We've been put through the rigmarole on this whole thing on the development. And, the parks, it could take up to 8 years to have all 3 of them built out, if not longer. And so that's a concern I want to put out there. And so you could talk to Marnie about that for our community.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure about the specifics of that original agreement with New Urban West. I don't know if they are have to stick to their original timeline or not. I can check with Marnie, of course, and our policy staff to see if we can do any expediting of the building of the parks.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Kirsten, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I suppose just a follow up on the park statement. My kids are 4 and 9, and it would be really nice that the fact they can't even go to the open space across from our yard, which is someday slated to be a park, but it looks like that one would be 8 years from now. So do the math; they'd be all grown up, which is unfortunate. So yeah, I mean, just +1 to that. I know New Urban West doesn't legally need to do anything to expedite those parks, but it would be something that I think would be a great goodwill gesture on behalf of them and the city to this community. Second thing is, Kyrie, I did also have a traffic request on a spree that we emailed about in the spring. I did just check that email. Looks like it was about 90 days ago now. So perhaps that one's coming up for review.
Not going to review.
Oh, okay.
Hang on, I'm
And-
muting him. Got it.
No worries. Likewise with that, Esprit is one of the areas that will have a park. It's already a pretty heavily trafficked road. And so with a park being added, we know that people are likely going to drive to the park in some cases, and it's going to continue to add traffic. So we should address the speed calming now before we increase the traffic on that road.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. I see your email, and I will check on that as
Awesome.
well. I know it's about their estimated 90-day timeline as well. So we'll see what updates we can get there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else for Kyrie? All right, Kyrie, I'll echo the comments about parks. I mean, it would be nice, and I think a great goodwill gesture if there's anything the city could do to help us there. And I will be hearing from New Urban West later, and maybe they'll have a comment for us on that as well. So we'll move along then to San Diego Mayor's office, and Emily is not going to be able to attend tonight. She did send me what her update from the mayor's office is, and I mean, it's really nothing specific to our community. I can, city safe parking program, that's, having to do with Mission Valley. City of San Diego's homelessness strategy solution department recently launched a new website. I will put that website in the chat. Let's see, I'll put that in the chat. Yeah. Okay. Infrastructure totaling 5.06 billion in the budget. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm going to put that link in the chat as well. Since the mayor's office isn't here, I'm hoping that we really don't have any discussion on any of these items because I don't have anything beyond what she emailed me. Detailed questions on budget, please let me know. Okay, in that case, I'm going to put her, this is the mayor's office, the mayor's representative's email in the chat. Okay, Employ and Empower Youth Workforce Program. The city received $18.5 billion grant to provide 1,000 opportunities for youth ages 16 to 30 to gain real world work experience. Those that have difficulty finding employment, low income, unemployed, out of school, involvement with the justice system, transitioning from foster care, engaged with, okay, so these are jobs program for at-risk or disadvantaged youth, it sounds like, and there's the link to that. And not to give any of this short shrift, but she's not here to answer any questions, so I will move along from this topic with Yes, I'm gonna move along unless anybody has a strenuous objection to that. Okay, don't hear anything. So San Diego Planning Department, Tony Kempton. Anybody from planning here? No. Congressman Scott Peters? No. Okay, well, that brings us to essentially the main event tonight, which is New Urban West, New Parks Presentation and Survey. And this is an information and public survey item. So who from New Urban West is going to take the reins on this? Do we have a New Urban West?
Eric.
Oh,
Good
there you go.
evening. I'll go ahead and kick us off and then I'll turn it over. I'll introduce some people on our team that are here. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jonathan Frankel on behalf of New Urban West. We're pleased to be with you to get your feedback on the 3 new public parks that will be constructed here in Carmel Mountain Ranch. As all of you know, most of you know, as part of the Trails project, there are 3 new parks to be constructed. So this is the second of 3 workshops. With me tonight, we have some members of our design team. You'll be principally hearing from Rick Barrett, a landscape architect with MIG, and we're also joined by a park designer with the city of San Diego, Shannon Scoggins, who have both been very integral in incorporating your feedback into the designs that you're going to see tonight. And so that's what we've spent the last several months doing, is iterating based on the feedback that you provided. And we look forward to getting additional feedback from you this evening. With that, I will turn it over to Rick and he can walk you through our comments, our designs, and solicit your comments.
And thank you, Jonathan. Eric, can you allow me to share the screen?
Yes. Rick, you should be a co-host now and able to share at will.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, Rick, before you proceed, Eric, Fernanda here with MIG. Would you be able to make me a host as well for the Zoom polling later?
1 second.
Thank you.
Fernanda Suarez?
Yes.
Okay, I see you. And making you a co-host.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Eric. We have a PowerPoint we want to go through. Similar to the last workshop we had, it will include imagery, conceptual plans, 2 alternatives for each of the 3 parks, and a facilitated Zoom poll or facilitated discussion with a Zoom poll. I'm going to go off camera just to preserve bandwidth here. So I'll advance the slides, but this was basically what Jonathan was speaking to. Let me go through the agenda first, and then before I kick it over to Jonathan and Shannon for some background. So tonight we've covered the introductions, which is what we're doing right now, or just did. Item 2, project background. Jonathan and Shannon will do that. Project schedule, we'll review that again. That'll be Shannon. And then items 4 through 7 will be myself. 4, we'll talk about the park, the location of the 3 parks and how they relate to the phasing, something we just touched upon in some of the public comments. And then I'll go through the 2 alternatives for each of the 3 parks in the order of Eastbourne, Shoal Creek, Walden. Once I get through those items 5, 6, and 7, then I'll go back to Eastbourne, quickly go through the slides again, and then open it up for discussion. And then that's when we'll have the Zoom poll. Then we'll do the same on Shoal Creek, and then we'll do the same on Walden. And then we'll, once we get through that, Shannon and I will close the meeting, or this portion of the meeting, I should say. So with that, let me turn it back over to Shannon and Jonathan for some project background for those that may not have been at the first workshop.
Sure, thank you, Rick. So for those that were not able to join us at the first workshop, the city, in collaboration with our team at MIG, has been designing options for these 3 public parks. And these 3 parks will ultimately be constructed by New Urban West, and ultimately turned over and maintained by the city of San Diego. And the timing of the delivery of the parks is related to the construction of the residential units in the project. And so all of that was outlined in the project approvals about when these parks would be built. So that's a very high level background. I'd be happy to answer any questions as we get moving. Shannon, I did want to give you an opportunity if you had anything wanted to talk about the GDP or anything else from a city perspective before we get into the rest of the presentation.
Thank you, Jonathan. Hopefully you can hear me. So Shannon Scoggins from Parks and Recreation Department at the city. And so I'm here as a liaison for the city as New Urban West and Lennar proceed through what we call the general development plan design process, which is when we elicit public input from the community via this recognized public advisory body. And so we do require the developer team to host or to attend 3 public workshops. And at the end of those 3 public workshops, then we do take this forward to our city public advisory board, the Park and Rec board, for final approval of what we call the general development plan, which is the schematic design for the 3 parks. At that point, then the developer is released to proceed with construction drawings and construction of the parks according to the schedule that was outlined in their development permit. Thank you. Oh, I guess this is my slide too. So this is a graphic of the schedule that I just described. So we are on the 2nd workshop item there, July 13. And this one is to discuss some alternative designs for each of the 3 parks. And then the next time we'll come back to this community planning group is September 14 for the draft GDP, or the sort of final plan for each park. And then the last phase is the Park and Rec board, which is also another public meeting that you're welcome to attend and provide any input or comments that you would like at that meeting as well, which is hosted by Parks and Recreation Department.
Great, thanks, Shannon. So I'll pick up from here. And so you're all familiar with the layout of the project, and the 3 parks are located here. So in the northeast corner, Eastbourne Neighborhood Park, which is 2.59 acres. Towards the southwest is the Shoal Creek Neighborhood Park at 3.38 acres. And then finally, Walden Park is the 3rd park in the southeast corner of the project, and that comes in at 1.9 acres. And how does it relate to the phasing, which came up earlier this evening? So Eastbourne Park is associated with phase 1, which is this blue dashed line. There is no park in the 2nd phase of development. The 3rd phase of development includes Shoal Creek Park here in the southwest. And then finally, in the 4th and final phase of development, that includes Walden Park, which again is located here. So what I want to do, again, we're up to item 5 on the agenda. What I'm going to do is go through each of the 3 parks. I'm going to go through them and show 2 alternative designs for each park, along with some suggested precedent imagery for some of the park amenities. Again, I'll do that for Eastbourne, I'll do that for Shoal Creek, and I'll do that for Walden. And then we'll come back and go through the park diagrams quickly again. And then at that point in the meeting, we will have a facilitated discussion to get your input. We are taking notes, and then that will also include a Zoom poll. So with that, let's start with Eastbourne Park. So Eastbourne Park is located at Eastbourne Road and Carmel Ridge Road. It is runs primarily north-south, as you can see here. It's approximately 580 feet long in the north-south direction and about 280 feet wide in the east-west direction. It has a grade change of almost 20 feet from north to south. So there are some pretty good views from the northern part, as indicated by this red crosshair and the red arrows, and it generally slopes down to the southern end. So grade change from a contour line of approximately 645 down to 627. And these green circles are indicative of the existing trees on site. You all know what the park looks like, but this view on the left is looking into the park looking south from southwest, I should say, from Eastbourne Road. This middle image is standing in the middle of the park as it is today, looking directly west. And then this view on the right is standing a little further south, looking south. So you can see the views generally are very good looking south and west across the park. As Jonathan mentioned, we had in workshop number 1, we conducted similar Zoom polling that you'll be seeing tonight. And some of the key, just as a reminder, some of the key things that came out of the Zoom polling were is indicated here with this bar chart. So some of the strongest contenders or strongest bits of feedback included positive feedback for seating areas, passive play areas, nature-based play, picnic areas with shade, comfort station, dog park, and formal play area, and kiosk and wayfinding. That was really good input that we got from those of you here tonight that were at the meeting. So what I'd like to do is go through again here quickly the current 2 options for each of the parks. This is based on direct input from you and from discussions with city staff. So alternative number 1 for Eastbourne Park. This shows the overall plan view. I'll include a couple enlargements, but in general, this alternative 1 includes off-street parking for approximately 6 parking stalls, including 1 ADA stall, a shade structure, major shade structure, picnic area, comfort station, play area indicated here in this kind of teal blue, 2 pickleball courts, and then some adjacent, an adjacent area dedicated for game tables and picnic tables. And then finally, the dog park split into 2 sides, both for small dogs, larger dogs, with a separate shade structure in the dog park providing shade for dogs and the dog owners. And then finally, there is a proposed 9-foot wide trail that surrounds the entire park. And with these little, you can see these semicircles, those are fitness exercise stations. So let me go into the next, the enlargement for that area. So looking at this in more detail, the north half of Eastbourne Park, you can see here the parking area, the shade structure with picnic tables underneath. This is the comfort station with a drinking fountain, a large playground area for 2 different age groups, 2 to 5 and 5 to 12, the pickleball courts, and then the adjacent, what we're calling the game area with a precast ping pong table and game tables, as well as additional seating. And then in the southern part of the site, again, in more detail, the large dog park split into a small large dog with a shade structure, again, for the dogs and dog owners. And then the fitness loop, as we're calling it, with exercise workstations, exercise stations along the perimeter of the park or dog park. And then in terms of the imagery for this particular park, and some of these images you'll see used throughout, both alternatives here and the other parks. So these are really good examples of what types of amenities we are proposing. So a large gazebo, this is what we mean, a large shade structure with picnic tables underneath, barbecue grills, trash receptacles, formal play area. This is an example of outdoor fitness stations, which we are proposing along the edge of that 9-foot wide perimeter walkway that surrounds the dog park. Dog park indicated here. Let me go back to let me talk about the fencing for a second. So as you may recall, and as you probably know from the site, there's a fair bit of grade coming up from the south. So immediately off the edge of the park to the west is a 4-to-1 slope. So we are proposing a split rail fence on the west and south sides, and then a 6-foot high decorative fence set back from the property line on the east side. And these photographs here are what those would look like. So split rail fence again on the west and south sides, decorative fence on the east side, pickleball courts, and a comfort station. And then finally, adjacent to the pickleball courts, I talked about game tables, precast concrete ping pong table, additional picnic tables, and formal bench seating throughout the park project. The second alternative, and again, we'll go through all 3 parks here before we open it up for comments and the Zoom polling. So alternative number 2 for Eastbourne Park is different. It doesn't have the off-street parking and it doesn't have the dog park. Those are the two big differences. So what it does have is a large shade area, picnic area. Again, the play area is indicated with the steel blue. Open turf area for passive play, so not fenced in for dogs, no dog park whatsoever. It still has the same fitness loop with the exercise work areas, work fitness stations, but we're also including a second large gazebo at the southern end of the park project. And then in detail, this is what it looks like. So again, no parking. This is Eastbourne. So the large shade structure, pedestrian access directly from Eastbourne. The 2 to 5, 5 to 12-year-old play areas. And then finally the open turf for passive play area with a second large shade structure and picnic area at the south side. And the amenities that we're proposing here are the same, but obviously we have an open turf area instead of a dog park. And with that, I'm going to go on to Shoal Creek. And I want to just point out, as you look at these examples or look at the plans and the images, when we get to the facilitated discussion and the Zoom polling, keep in mind we're going to be asking you for your opinion on, for each of the parks. Do you like alternative 1? Do you like alternative 2? Or is there a hybrid? Do you like a little bit of 1 with a little bit of 2? So, or are there things that we haven't included that you might be inclined to prefer? So we'll get to that point once I get through the other 2 parks. So moving on to the next part, Shoal Creek. Shoal Creek, again, is located in the 3rd phase of development in the southwest corner of the project. It is immediately adjacent from Shoal Creek Drive, and in general is running from a northeast to southwest direction. It's a narrow park. It's approximately 200 feet wide, but a longer park. It's about 850 feet long from Shoal Creek to the southwest edge of the park. Strong views from this high point of about a grade of 655. And again, the light green and dark green trees indicate existing trees. So from this point, it slopes down to Shoal Creek to the northeast, and then again to the southwest in a more gentle slope going this way. Images of the Shoal Creek Neighborhood Park. This is an area here that was the former sand trap, which is located here. These are the 2 large conifer or pine trees indicated here with the kind of darker olive green.
That's it.
And then this is a view looking west or southwest from about the middle of the park. So you can see the park boundary is approximately where my cursor is here. So again, we had a polling exercise in the first workshop, and very, very strong preferences for picnic areas with shade, seating areas, outdoor gathering areas, passive play areas, nature-based play, formal-based play, comfort station, and a kiosk. And then in addition to, we asked an additional question for Shoal Creek, and that is, would you like to see the existing high point where those 2 large conifer pine trees I mentioned are being incorporated into the park design? Overwhelming support for that. So both of these schemes that you're about to see incorporate that high point and the conifer trees. So this is the first of 2 alternatives for Shoal Creek Park. Again, same process we just did before on Eastbourne. I'll show the overall plan, then I'll go into more detail. So again, just for orientation, here is Shoal Creek Drive. This is the northeast edge of the park. So under this alternative, there would be an access drive for emergency vehicles and city maintenance vehicles, but no off-street parking on this scheme. So that's what this driveway is. This allows a turnaround again for emergency vehicles and service vehicles. It includes a play area here that we'll look at in a little more detail, and then a dog park similar to Eastbourne in that there's a smaller area for smaller dogs and a larger area for larger dogs, and also a perimeter walkway that's 9 foot wide. So let's look at this in a little more detail. So this is the maintenance drive coming up from Shoal Creek into a turnaround, again, allowing access just for city maintenance vehicles and police emergency vehicles. We also have a pedestrian access pathway that comes up from Shoal Creek, and it is designed like this to be ADA accessible because there is a fair bit of slope coming from Shoal Creek coming up to the southwest. The play area indicated in teal here, and then we have a shade structure picnic area here immediately adjacent to the turnaround. And then again, back to the south end of the park, the 2 dog parks. Again, I mentioned the small dog park here, large dog park here, with a shade structure for dogs and their dog owners located here, which will be an important amenity, along with other amenities which we're not showing on this plan, like a dog fountain, dog bowls, drinking fountains, that sort of thing. I failed to mention on the Eastbourne, but also here, the dog run area with the off-leash dog area would be fenced in. And again, this is the trail that continues on through the open space through the project. This is the 9-foot wide perimeter walkway around the dog area. The amenities again are similar to some of the amenities are similar to what we showed at Eastbourne. This includes dog park, formal play area, shaded picnic areas, seating, and picnic tables. So let's talk about alternative 2 for Shoal Creek. So the access drive and the walkway are exactly the same. Those are really driven by the topography, so we're not going to see a lot of change in that. I also wanted to mention, let me go back real quick. This is that high point I was talking about in the existing conditions. These are the 2 conifer pine trees, so those are being preserved under alternative 1 and also under alternative 2. So in alternative 2, it doesn't have a dog park, so this is similar in concept to Eastbourne. So instead of a dog park here on alternative 2 for Shoal Creek, we have open turf area. We still have the play area, and we still have the perimeter 9-foot walkway, in this case around the open turf area. This is what it looks like in more detail. Again, this part is identical to alternative 1, the access drive for emergency vehicles and city vehicles, and the accessible walkway, the 2 pine trees, and the shade structure picnic area here. Here is that shade structure, the play area, and then the open turf area, unfenced, for passive play. And again, the same imagery we just saw in alternative 1 for Shoal Creek, other than we have open turf instead of a dog park. And let me keep going here with the 3rd park. So Walden Park on Esprit Avenue. We just talked about Esprit a little bit. Walden Park is the smaller of the 3 parks. It has a general topography or topographical slope from the north to the south, as indicated here. This is also known as, as the Rocks or Boulders or Boulder Park. And those boulders are indicated here with the dark brown indicating the larger boulders, and the light brown being the smaller boulders. These are all the existing conditions of where those boulders are today. The park is approximately 390 feet in the north-south direction and 360 feet in the east-west direction. And this dashed brown line is the existing trail that goes through the park today, with this having a few existing trees on the northeast corner of the park. These are images of what the park looks like today. So these are the larger boulders. These are the ones closest to the street. This is looking north along the existing trail. This is a little bit further along into the park, looking northeast, showing those existing trees in the background. And then this is the view from about that same location here, looking back towards Esprit, and you can see the larger boulders here in the background and some of the adjacent homes off here to the right. So again, we did polling at the first workshop, and similar to some of the results we've seen on the other 2 parks, strong preference for seating areas, particularly shaded seating areas, outdoor gathering areas, nature-based play, as well as passive play here. And again, picnic tables with shade and precast concrete play elements. And then likewise, similar to Shoal Creek, we asked a specific question to Walden about preservation of the boulders and should they be incorporated into the park design. And again, overwhelming support for incorporating the boulders. We are definitely doing that. The boulders will either remain in place or be slightly relocated, but they will remain part of the park. They are part of the branding and sort of definitely the strong imagery of the park. So let's talk about the two alternatives for Walden Park before we get back to get into the facilitated discussion. So again, I'll start with an overall plan and then go to a detailed plan. So on this option one, we preserve the existing trail, but then we provide an additional trail that comes off of it with this lighter line or band, which is a 9-foot wide trail again. Open turf area, you can see where the boulders are being proposed to be, either remain in place or relocated. And because of the size of this park, we are, a bit limited on, the types of amenities and the location of the amenities. And then we also have some grading challenges. But on this plan, it includes an open turf area, formal play, meaning 2 to 5, 5 to 12, and a large shade structure, picnic area, and then additional seating around the play area and the gazebo. In more detail, this is what that north end looks like. So you can see, I'm sorry, I said 2 to 5, 5 to 12, but this concept one for Walden is what we're calling nature-based play, which scored pretty high in the polling, as we just saw. So here we have in more detail, the shade structure, picnic area, the nature-based play with its own adjacent picnic area. And then again, I mentioned the existing trail that we have today, plus a new pathway that would come off of that existing trail and loop around the project and come back down here to meet the existing sidewalk. And then on the south end, again, this is a detailed view of the open turf area. All new trees here indicated with both the purple flowering trees, as well as different types of deciduous and evergreen trees with the other symbols. Imagery for this park includes the large gazebo, which we've seen on the previous park designs. This has the nature themed play area, open turf area, and again, benches and picnic tables. Then on the second alternative, we've a little bit different. Again, we're a little bit constrained by some of the grading conditions, particularly in topography off here to the east, but this has the existing sidewalk that is out there today. We are proposing, and again, a shade structure picnic area, open turf in more or less the same location, but in this case, we're proposing a formal play area for children 2 to 5 and 5 to 12. And again, a smaller adjacent secondary shade structure picnic area here as well, with additional seating around the playground. Again, open turf area here, indicated in the light green, brand new planting of trees, again with the light green, dark green, and purple colored trees. And the amenities for this alternative would include the gazebo, the formal play, again 2 to 5, 5 to 12 years old, shaded picnic area, that was the area adjacent to the playground, open turf area, and under this alternative, we would include a precast concrete ping pong table, as well as the benches and aforementioned picnic tables. So with that, what I'm going to do is just kind of go through the imagery again. So just bear with me for about another minute, and then we'll get to the facilitated discussion and Zoom polling. And we'll do that for each of the parks. And so this is where we want to hear from you. We want to hear your comments. What do you like about these alternatives? Do you have a strong preference for one or two, or perhaps a hybrid, as I mentioned, a little bit of one, a little bit of two. So again, and we'll do that separately. So we'll do Eastbourne first. Again, just as a reminder, Eastbourne Neighborhood Park. Here's Eastbourne Road. This alternative one includes off-street parking, comfort station, shade structure, play area, pickleball courts, and a dog park for 2 size dogs, small and large. Again, the detailed plan. the amenities that we looked at previously, the gazebo, the play area, the fitness stations along the 9-foot wide walkway, the dog park for two size dogs, small and large, the 2 types of fencing, pickleball courts, and a comfort station. And then in addition, for alternative 1, the game tables, precast concrete ping pong table, picnic tables and benches. And then quickly moving through this alternative 2. This, again, the primary difference is it does not have off-street parking, and it does not have the dog park. So this has a large gazebo. Again, this one is closer to the street because we don't have the parking, the play area that I mentioned previously, the open turf area, and then again, the fitness loop with the secondary shade structure here for alternative 2 for Eastbourne. Again, the same imagery as we saw the first time around. So with that, maybe if we could open up for discussion. Eric, I don't know if you want to sort of monitor that, but let's hear from you. We're going to be taking notes. And then once we get through this brief discussion, I'd like to get through this in about, 5 to 8 minutes. If we need more, we can do that. And then we'll kind of take a Zoom poll because we want to do the Zoom poll after we get your opinion. We talk about, the pros and cons of each of these alternatives for Eastbourne. So with that, I'll turn it back to Eric and your group.
So are you looking for what's going on in the chat, or you want people to chime in?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Well, primarily chiming in. We'll
Okay.
have a record of the chat. So.
All right. Okay, I see. Rich, you have your hand up.
Hi, yeah, let me lower my hand real quick. So I personally liked quite a bit of what I saw. My only concern out of all of the proposed setups on all options is that the dog parks take up way more room than I expected in a dog park, and they hog a lot of area. And I know pet owners want a dog park, and maybe we should have some area, but definitely it's concerning that it takes up so much area away from all the other popular things that were on the polls. Dog park was pretty far down, and to see like some of these areas that are almost it's not quite half, but it seems like almost half the area is a big giant dog park. Just doesn't seem like a very good use of space and what people voted for. So that's my concern.
Mm-hmm.
Other comments? You can unmute your.
Eric.
Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, I'm on board with Rick on this. On the second park, Shoal Creek, there wasn't even anything in the survey for the dog park. Dog parks, personally, I think a dog park should be in its own area in one of the other non-park areas. I think having dogs are great, but I think it should be in more of an area away from the homes as much as possible. They're real noisy. I love animals. I've had animals all my life. And, it's just not a good idea to have them here. And they're taking up too much room. And that's a lot of park budget that we're talking about. We only got barely 8 acres of park space. The swales in the parks, I would like, in the usable areas, I'd like to see the swales move to the outside of the areas so that they're not, involved where kids are running around and everything. You could get broken ankles and things like that, sprained ankles. I liked alternative 2 better on Eastbourne and on Shoal Creek, just for the fact that there's more park space, they're open, and they kind of link to the park or the Carmel Mountain Ranch philosophy. The fences in the dog parks also kind of block the park up. They sort of enclose things and kill that open feeling that it's really so important. On Walden Park, it seems like your trails are getting kind of close to the homes. And I live right next to Fairway too, and I wouldn't appreciate having those trails close like that. If I could at all avoid it, I would try to do that. I understand the nature-based play thing, but your images, to me, don't really show a lot of creativity right now. I know maybe it's still early, but I want to see something that ties us on all three parks, and each one have a unique identity that and ties to Carmel Mountain Ranch. Right now, they all look the same. They're very vanilla. So I know it's early, so would really like to see something creative for our community.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. Brittany?
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to say that last month in the other meeting, the survey didn't even allow for a dog park at Shoal. And so that's why I think we're seeing it now here, is because there was so much going on in the chat last time for people who voted for a dog park at Shoal, but we weren't allowed to even vote for that in that opportunity. So I just wanted to say that I'm a huge fan of alternative one for that. I think it's a wonderful place to have a dog park, especially with so many condos and apartments down in that area. And like some people are saying in the chat, you know, a contained area for dogs is much needed around here. You know, a lot of the parks, there's signs that say no, you know, no dogs off leash, but people don't have a place to let their dogs off leash right now. And so that becomes an issue. And so I think for the safety of the dogs and the people around, I think having a contained area for them is perfect. And so just wanted to vocalize that. Thanks.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, thanks. So I posed, I think 3 questions in the chat earlier. So I think this is going to be a city managed park once it's built. Is that correct?
Right.
So for like the picnic areas, is that something that gets reserved? Or is that something that's first come, first serve?
Can address that. This is Shannon Scoggins from Parks and Rec. So typically, our park staff does reserve the larger gazebos for parties and things like that through the permitting process, but the smaller picnic tables won't be permitted. And I don't believe the games will be permitted either.
Okay, yeah, so the pickleball courts are open, but if you want to do the gazebo, it's first come, first serve. Or sorry, gazebo is reserve it. I mean, yeah. So, and then the other question was around if there's comfort stations, how frequently are those maintained and how are they secured?
They're maintained daily, cleaned daily, and secured is something that we still need to talk through. You know, it'll be sort of an operational determination if they're locked at dusk or when they'll be locked.
I think
Or
that would
they'll
be
be open 24 hours. So your input and your feedback on that is useful.
yeah. Well, right now there's some campers, right? So we would want to. I'm sure people who live nearby that would want to have it locked at night. The last one was about the dog park smells. I know like the Balboa Park, if you go near that dog park, you can smell it a mile away. I wonder, you know, about that and being so close to homes, and of course the noise, which people have already mentioned.
Yeah, so you know, there isn't a perfect solution to the finish or the surfacing for dog parks. Typically, you know, our department really just can't keep natural grass alive, especially in the smaller dog parks like this, the smaller pens. So we have moved toward red brick dust, which is basically what you see in a softball infield. It isn't as rough on dog paws as things like decomposed granite would be. So that's really our preferred surfacing at this point in time. But as you know, things change and we're constantly evaluating the success of our off-leash dog areas across the city. And but as far as the noise and the smell and the dust goes, so these off-leash dog areas would be there would be, you know, irrigation that would get sprayed down. The area would be sprayed down daily to kind of deal with ameliorate some of the noise and the dust issues. And then as far as the noise goes, the only way to really ameliorate noise would be to close them at certain times overnight and things like that.
Thank you.
S. Sharma.
Hi, regarding the
4 for the Eastbourne. I like the alternative 2, but in that I want like a small dog park, not a big one. Thanks.
Jay,
Yes. Can you hear me?
yes.
Okay. I'm interested in Eastbourne number 2. I have a concern about the number 1 traffic concern with the direction of the traffic coming in and also the convert station there. Number 2, I would be interested in understanding the noise associated with not only the dog park, but the pickleball courts. Will there be time frames there? Because pickleball courts really do attract a lot of people and concern me. And number 3, the space between the existing homes and the space associated with that.
Eric, are you taking calls also, the caller in? Just wanted to make sure I'm able to get a comment in if that's possible.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I wasn't sure if you could see me. I'm not used to this, so I apologize.
That's okay.
Thank you very much. We are voting for the dog park, very much in favor of that. And we are right on the course there, across from Eastbourne, actually. And we would love to have a view of the dog park and a very, rustic setup as far as the, any kind of the amenities go, more of a natural landscape. I think they've discussed it before. And I'm very pro, the decomposed granite. And I believe that having like the pickleball is we definitely are not interested in that. I feel like that would bring a lot more noise, and you already have kids that'll be playing in that kind of thing. And I think the dog park would be wonderful. And we were kind of hoping there would be a dog park water feature, if possible, where they could, kind of play in the water, one of those, I don't know, kind of like a concrete pond or something where the water shoots up and that kind of thing. And if possible, we're right up on the hill there. And we're really hoping that when we look down, because we're so kind of close, we're kind of straight across from that opening at Eastbourne, that we would be able to be looking at something natural like the dog park and not looking down, upon pickleball and that kind of thing. And the dog park goes too far down. We'd like to see the dog park even expanded.
Okay, thank you. We got to get through these comments expeditiously here. So Jay, is your hand still up or did you just forget to lower it? Okay, thank you. All right, Bruce Bergman.
Yeah, I would just want to comment on the dog park choice of materials for the ground. My daughter used to play softball, and that red dirt, it gets everywhere. It's in everything. It flies around in the air. I think it's a horrible choice for a dog park. Almost, I'd rather see no dog park than that. The animals get it in their fur. It's in their paws. They track it around in cars. It's, I get the point of maintaining the grass, but man, that is just horrible. I'd rather not see a dog park if it's going to be only red dirt.
And talking about watering it every day when we can't even water our yards is a little bit, well, anyway, sorry, not my turn. Mark Clark.
Hey, thanks, Eric. Thanks for the presentation, folks. I just wanted to voice my concern about the noise with regards to dogs. I don't have a dog, but there's a reason for that. Several of my neighbors have dogs and they bark all the time, so much so that I trained my Alexa that when she hears barking, she says to tell the dog to shut up. So I get some concerned, right? We're still talking about these things being between houses, right? Between, on a golf course. And so if a dog park is full of dogs on any given day, and yes, there'll be kids playing too, but those two things combined could make it, and I think this is maybe to Kurt's point, just very noisy. And so I'm not against dog parks. I personally love dogs. but maybe putting dog parks somewhere that's a little bit less intrusive in terms of noise. Any of the dog parks I think about that I've been around in San Diego aren't right next or in between a bunch of residents. So just wanted to make that comment.
All right, thank you. Mark Mel, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you. I would like to, my concern from the last meeting didn't been addressed regarding the traffic on Shoal Creek, regarding Shoal Creek Park. And I would like to ask question to Shannon, Rick Barrett, and Mr. Frankel. Regarding the traffic on Shoal Creek, accessibility to the Shoal Creek Park, my concern it's the crossing the street, how we can enjoy the park if it's traffic crazy there. And I would like to share some pictures of recent accident in this. So we already have a big traffic. We cannot already cross the street, the Shoal Creek, to go to the Unit 7. How are we going to be doing this when we're going to build across the street another 92 units? You know, it's going to be another 200 cars, 780 ADT going to be coming generated from Unit 8 across the street, just where is going to be accessibility to the Park 7, you know, to the Unit 7, the Shoal Creek. So this has not been addressed, you know, the situation, how city going to handle, we're going to install signal lights, stop signals between the Ted Williams and the Windcrest. How are we going to address the accessibility? Because I see it on the picture right now, the trails.
Mark, if you have images, I mean, if you're going to share some images, I'll let you do that, but I can't let you do that and talk for 4 minutes.
Okay, so let's do that. And the picture will tell everything.
Okay.
Okay, do it.
There you go. Quickly, please.
Yeah, 20 images. That's it.
Okay, go.
Okay, you see it?
Not yet. Yeah, you're a co-host.
Okay, so how I can do that?
There's a big green share button at the bottom.
Okay, yes, I got it. Okay, share, okay.
There you go.
Okay, you see it now, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, this is a recent accident just happened in the area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just count. And this is where they're going to be interest to the Unit 8. You see? You see what's happening? And this is what kids walking. You see the street, how they curve, and you see how narrow is this? It's not even 2 lanes when the cars park by the street. You see? You see accidents happening? So how we can to be safe in this area? You see, this is going to be accessibility on the right. You can see on the right, there's going to be accessibility to that park just right here. So you see the kids there walking the street. I pictured those kids just 2 hours before the accident happened. Same day. You see? You see? And this way crossing this, where is going to be the interest to the Unit 8, just across where is going to be a trail coming in from the cross, because the picture that we show in the park design on the Shoal Creek, it's a trail there. And the trail is going to be connecting to the trail on Unit 8. So I requested highly New Urban West to reduce the unit amount to ease the traffic in the future, okay, to 40 units on the south end, mainly on south end of the Unit 8, so we can enjoy the park and not just having a park. Park is nice. I love the park. It's just 5 homes away from me. And if we can extend it to Unit 8, it will be even better. Okay, so this is my comment, and you saw what's happening down. Maybe the Rick doesn't know about this, the area, the traffic area. Maybe the Shannon doesn't know. Mr. Frankel maybe doesn't even know, but this is what's happening. So we need to do something on Unit 8 to use the traffic future, because right now it's a problem of New Urban West. Later it's going to be a problem of city, and this will expose city to the lawsuits and become city liability when somebody gets hit by the car while crossing the street and then, to attend the park. Plus, this park is very hiding away, okay? And so we need to open up a little bit to accessibility to this park, because the kids might want to go to attend the park, and it's
Okay.
pretty much it's hiding over the hill
Okay,
from
Mark.
the Shoal Creek.
Thank you. I mean, out of all the points you've ever made in any meeting, I would say this is far and away the best one. And I think you made it well. I agree, and I think a lot of people agree that the traffic right here is terrible. People are speeding way too much. There are way too many accidents. The cars wind up on sidewalks, and God forbid if there's anybody walking right there when it happens, it's going to be very bad. And the city really needs to take a look at Shoal Creek Drive and Windcrest right here, where there are already lots of school children walking. This community fought for years to get that footbridge built, and that's part of the solution, but it's not an entire solution. And really any consideration of additional foot traffic in this area needs to be addressed with speed bumps, speed control of some kind. People drive like maniacs through here, and it's constant. So good point. I'm gonna
Thank
take.
you. And I would like the future, because there's going to be the park going to be stayed there for forever.
Yes.
So we need to address right now the amount of cars is going to be coming from Unit 8 just across the park.
Okay. All right.
And this is what I'm requesting, to reduce the unit amount.
We
extend it,
we
or extend
understand.
it
Mark, I gotta cut you off because we gotta move on.
Okay,
You've made
Thank
the
you.
point, and you made it well, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you can go ahead and stop sharing, please.
Okay, so how we do the,
I think you just hit the share button again, and
okay. I
should
did
be
it.
an option to stop sharing.
Doesn't have it. It gets share. So how we gonna stop with this one?
I think I can do it, Eric.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, please.
I can't. I don't see it. There we go. Okay.
Okay. So Eric, let me know if when we can move on to the Zoom poll for each of the
Yeah,
parts.
I don't see any other
raised
hands. I don't see any other hands, and we got to get to the surveys. Obviously a lot of passion and attention on this issue, and nobody's going to get everything they want. So I don't see any other hands. So I'd say let's go ahead with your survey.
Let me just because we've covered a lot of great input, significant, really great input. I really want to thank the entire community for their input. So we'll do Eastbourne first. So again, just as a refresher, Eastbourne #1 has the off-street parking, the single large shade structure, the pickleball courts, and the 2 different sized dog parks as its primary features, and a comfort station. Alternative 2 does not have parking. It's got 2 large shade structures, one at the north end, one at the south end. Again, a play area, no comfort station, no dog park, but a large open turf area. So with that, I'm going to back down to the Zoom poll. So Fernanda, can you, do I need to stop sharing so you can?
No, I think I can go ahead and launch the polling. Let me know if you can see it. Oh, hold on. Oh, I think you might actually, yes.
Okay, let me stop sharing. All right, go for it.
It says failed to launch polling there. Let me exit out of it and enter again. Let's see. It says there's an error with the polling. I can see it on my screen, but let me see if maybe I need to share the screen with you.
There we go.
Nope, it says there's an error with the polling.
Fernanda, I can try. Perhaps if I remove your co-hosting and then reinstate you as a full host,
Sure.
maybe that'll work, and then I'll trust you to return the hosting duties to me.
Okay.
When when this is over. Oh, wait,
Okay.
okay, there you go. I'm gonna make you the host.
Okay. see if
Okay,
that.
try it now.
No, it says fail to launch polling, error 1.
I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah.
Well, while Fernanda tries to fix that glitch, why don't we kind of go old school, if I may. So back to, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to ask Eric, I might be able to help here. Eric, do you already have the polls created?
I gave them access to my Zoom and they created them.
Okay, since you started the meeting, you're the only one that should be able to run the polls. So you're going to have to launch a poll for them. It's not something a co-host can do. It has to be the first
I
person.
know I made her the full host, but
yeah, what matters is that the first person is the one who can control the polls.
okay. That wasn't the case last time, but if you're maybe that'll help. So Fernanda, why don't you try returning hosting to me and I'll see if I can.
Yeah, let me. Okay.
Okay, so I'm the host, and so okay, polls. I see that button. I'm gonna go ahead and press it.
Yeah, launch and then should.
Okay, so
there we go.
There we go.
All right. So
Got
then, all right.
Okay, yeah, so we're taking a vote on alternative 1 versus alternative 2 for Eastbourne. And we can also vote for this third option of hybrid or combination. And for those that vote for that, you know, we definitely want to hear from you in terms of which elements of each do you like and what are some additional elements you would like to consider. So we'll
I launched the poll, so I don't seem to be able to vote, but whatever.
No, the poll hoster can't vote.
Oh, I vote for East. Well, never mind. It doesn't matter. I'm only one.
Eric, this is Oscar. I can vote for you. You just tell me what you want because I have.
Oh, I liked Eastbourne alternative 1.
Okay.
So we're up to 30 of 52 viewers now, some that may be on the phone and can't vote. And some of the 52 includes those that shouldn't be voting, like myself and city staff. So we'll let it run. Let people, and I'm following the chat as well, which we're getting really good comments in the chat, which we will keep a record of, obviously, after the meeting.
Looks like we're at 67%, which is D plus participation here. That's better than most elections.
Good point, Kurt. That's easy. All option 2s. Okay, why don't let's wrap it up in like 20 seconds.
Okay, yep.
Lewis is calling for option 1s. Okay, I think we are.
Okay, I'm gonna end this one. We've been at 35 for a while here, so ending that one. And then there's an option to share results. Is that something I should do, or well, I guess you guys got the results.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just took a screenshot and photographed it and wrote down the results. We had 17 in favor of option 1, 15 in favor of option 2, and 3 in favor of option or the hybrid.
Okay,
some
so
sort of
now
hybrid.
it looks like I can go down to Shoal Creek Park.
Yeah,
And
let's do that.
If you could quickly remind folks, just because we can't see it, option 1 on Shoal Creek was the one that didn't have a dog park, and option 2 did. Is that right?
Hang on, I'm looking, I don't want to misstate. Hang on a second. So no, Shoal Creek 1 has the dog park. And Shoal Creek 2 does not have a dog park.
Okay, I'm launching.
Those are the primary differences.
Okay. I vote for option 2, just for the record.
Yeah, I got you there, Eric.
Thank you.
While people are voting, can I ask a question of Rick?
Yes, go for it.
Shoal Creek Park is the largest of all the parks. I'm surprised that the other parks have things like game tables and ping pong tables and so on, and you didn't put anything like that in Shoal Creek's options. So was there a reason for that?
No, there wasn't, but that's a really good point. And I think that's part of the, that's a great comment. We will incorporate that. And like Brittany just said, a pickleball court at Shoal Creek. So that's a great comment. So some of the smaller game type amenities at Shoal Creek, regardless of if it's option 1 or 2.
Hey, Eric, I had a question for Rick.
Go ahead.
Hey, Rick, on all your park options, you're showing these swales. The swales, I'm assuming, are for drainage, correct?
Yes, those will be required for water quality.
Is there any way we could keep those away from the play areas? Or, the long skinny ones especially, but the bigger areas just kind of take up space. Is there any way that you can move them outside the area?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We'll have to discuss that with our civil engineer on the project. She's been pretty clear that they have to be, we don't have total free reign with moving those, storm drain or storm basin areas around too much. But I think it's a good point. So you're saying to move it away from the play areas?
Well, like up in Central Valley areas where they have, huge parks, and they usually take the detention basins, and they make those areas really big. So, and they are depressed so that they can hold water if a storm does come. But they also allow for, special drainage that's in them, so they drain out slowly. Maybe in the option 2s, that's what you do. Right? You got me?
Yes, that's a really good point. I'm just writing that down.
Okay, so there's Dennis, you have your hand up. Go ahead, please. Okay, Dennis went away. All right, we have the same number of votes in this survey as we did in the other one, so I'm going to end the poll and move on to third question.
Oh, so it just Shoal Creek just got I got a 17th vote for number 1.
Okay.
Alternative 2 still at 16 and 3 on the hybrid. Okay, so let's go to the Walden Park.
Yes.
And back to your earlier question, Walden Park is the smaller of the 3 parks. Again, we're somewhat constrained by the grading of this park, but both options included the boulders. Both options included a large shade structure picnic area, but where they differed was in the type of the play. So on option 1 for Walden, it was a formal playground for ages 2 to 5, 5 to 12. And then on option 2 for Walden, nature-based play. So let's open it up. Here we go. Thanks for doing that, Eric. And aside from other comments, like we heard from, good comments like from Kurt about the adjacency of the walkway to the homes, those are all being noted.
Daniel, you have a question, go ahead.
Hey, Eric, I wasn't able to vote for the Eastbourne Park. I'd like to cast my vote for option 2 if I can.
Option 2, Rick.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks, Daniel. Clayson.
Eric, did you have a preference on this one?
Not really.
Okay.
I'll just let that one ride. S. Sharma.
Yeah, I have like one concern. So the water one, like that park, like it's on the slope, and basically it's open up on the street. So I would really appreciate like if they can like put a fence on the park just in case like kids are playing with the ball or something and they kick the ball, and because of the slope, the ball it comes on the street. So I don't want kids running on the street. So if there's some kind of fencing, they could do it.
And this is a good comment. You're talking about specific to Walden Park.
Yeah, specifically for the modern one.
Okay, yeah, it's a good comment.
And secondly, like for the other two parks, you have the comfort station, but in the Warden one, like it's missing. So is there any particular reason why it's missing over here?
Could you were breaking up there a little on mine. Could you repeat the question?
So the comfort station is missing in the Warden park. So is there any reason like why that one is missed in your design?
We did not feel the park was sufficiently sized to have a comfort station plus the close proximity of the adjacent homes. That's why we did not have a comfort station in either alternative.
I will add something I just thought of because I just thought of it. The width of the Shoal Creek location versus the width of the Eastbourne and proximity to homes would seem to make Eastbourne a better alternative for a dog park in my view, just due to the width and proximity to homes based on the concerns that some had raised about noise and odor.
So if I can rephrase that so I get it clear, Eric, you're saying a dog between of the two parks, Shoal Creek and Eastbourne, a dog park of the two parks, you would rather see a dog park at Eastbourne than Shoal Creek.
Eastbourne seems like a better location and it's more central to the community as well. Shoal Creek is way off in the corner. So just my thought.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
Hey, just real quick on the Walden ones. There was one where the park is less close to the homes, like the play structure area. I think if I remember the schemas, I think that would be whatever the alternative is to have the play structure less close to the homes just for noise and all of that. Or maybe they're the exact same and I'm not recalling.
But the point's well taken. Keep the playground away from the homes to the degree possible.
Yeah.
On Walden. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody object to my ending this poll?
Hang on, let me just write down the results here.
Oh, sure.
8, 17, 2, and I'll take a screenshot. Okay, I think.
All right, I'm glad we were able to work through the technical issue there. And
yeah, thank you, Eric.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, last time it worked the other way, but you know, whatever technology Zoom has given us some kind of snazzy update, I'm sure that makes it whatever. And thank you, Bruce, for Bruce obviously does a lot of Zoom meetings because he's our resident Zoom guru here, it seems.
I've hit that a million times. Drives me crazy.
All right. So is there anything else on the parks from the New Urban West folks or anyone else?
Well, we just want to share the closing slide.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Which is just the schedule. So we want to, close with, again, the same schedule we showed at the beginning. So Shannon, I'll just speak to this if I may. So we are here at workshop number 2, July 13th. We will take the results of the polling, the feedback, the public comment, which both Fernanda and I have been writing, the chat, which Oscar has been keeping track of, and we'll go back to any kind of the recording of the meeting. So what we will do is we will meet internally with the city and with New Urban West and begin to kind of flesh out the preferred alternative for each of the parks. We'll come back to you again, as Shannon said, in the third and final workshop, September 14th, for preliminary final plans. And then over the course of October and November, we will finalize the GDP for the 3 parks and take that to the Park and Recreation Board, which, as Shannon said, is open to the public as well. And that's not been scheduled yet. That's out here in November.
Okay. And would you please announce the results of the Walden Park survey? Somebody missed those.
Yes. So looking at my notes, we had 8 votes in favor of option 1, 17 votes in favor of option 2, and then 2 votes in favor of a hybrid scheme between 1 and 2.
Okay, thank you. Mark Clark, you have your hand up.
There you go. I'm off mute now. Hey, I just wanted to bring up, and again, I'm not expecting necessarily comments from New Urban West right now, per se. Jonathan kind of made some comments earlier with regards to the requests for pulling in dates. And I just, again, and my apologies for my insensitivity of not knowing exactly the timeframes of the other ones. I live in Walden, so that was the one I was focused on. But there's no homes going into Walden or no condos, etc. And so, just again, I want to reiterate and ask New Urban West if there's any chance to reconsider, looking at when the parks are done. And again, maybe selfishly, but I also know that no condos are going into Walden, so I know they're quote unquote part of the last phase or something like that. But is there any reason that we necessarily have to wait for these parks per se? And if there's actually like a reason, that would be good to know. Otherwise, it would be great if New Urban West, out of the kindness of their heart, community, outreach could pull those in. So not necessarily any comments. I just wanted to bring that up again because I think it kind of got glossed over at the beginning of this whole park discussion. So thanks.
I agree. I think we all agree the sooner the better. And I don't know, does New Urban West have a response as to why there would be, I mean, I understand the approval reads the way it reads, but is there any functional reason why the parks couldn't get done sooner?
Mark, thank you for that comment. And Eric can completely understand that everybody is interested in seeing the investment in parks as soon as possible. This is about a $12 million investment in parks in Carmel Mountain Ranch. Obviously, there needs to be home sales in order to support these parks. We need to generate revenue in order to be able to support the construction of them. So it can't happen prior to that occurring, but I certainly understand the urgency and know that everybody for far too long has been looking at a dead golf course, and that is not acceptable to anybody, including to us. And I think that we have every incentive to deliver a beautiful park space. It's going to be an amenity and an attraction and a reason that our home buyers wish to buy in this area. And it's going to be a reason for the homeowners to be proud of it. So we're going to work to deliver them as quickly as we can. We want to build the homes as quickly as possible. We want to sell them as quickly as possible. And we want to deliver the parks as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you. That actually makes sense. Also, just this traffic issue around Shoal Creek. I mean, if there's anything that can be done in the designing of all of this in the design process, whether it's speed mitigation. I mean, you saw that picture that Mark showed you of a truck crashed into the abutment of that bridge. And I've seen this so many times, and every time I think, it would be just so terrible if there were children in the way when that truck struck that abutment. And I know it's not New Urban West responsibility traffic per se, but you are working in conjunction with the city here. And this really needs to be addressed because it's a huge problem. So that's what I'll leave it with as far as the discussion on parks. And if nobody else has anything, we'll move on. We're past 8 and
Eric, just one quick question.
Yes.
To Jonathan, so he knows, the golf course in Carmel Mountain Ranch was built before any of the homes were built. So that's what that developer did for this community. That's all we're asking. That's it.
Thank you, Kurt.
I'd like to have a question to the Jonathan Frankel. If you're willing to reduce the unit amount on Unit 8 to ease the traffic, future traffic in this area, in the Shoal Creek area, This will help a lot too, and build the park first.
Thank you, Mark.
I'd like to ask him a question, if you willing to do anything like that.
Okay, Mark, you've asked the question. Jonathan, do you care to respond?
Well, I think as most people know, we've already substantially reduced the number of units in the project. The project was approved for 1,200 units, and we've eliminated nearly 400 units from the project. Obviously, we heard the concerns related to the overall number of units, and we responded with a very, very significant concession. So that has been accounted for, and we've taken action in that regard.
Thank you.
Yeah, but how we can enjoy the park?
Mark, it's not, Mark, we're not going to debate it here. It's, I mean.
Well, I'd like to
you've-
ask Mr. Frankel how we will enjoy the park if we cannot walk across the street to the park, and we will be afraid to hit by the car.
Okay. All right. So Jonathan, can you at least commit to us that you and the city will work together in some kind of an attempt to mitigate this speed on the road because of the proximity of the park and number of units? Can you at least work with the city on this traffic issue for us?
Yes, absolutely. And we know that there will be many families moving in to this community. We have every incentive and reason to make sure that it's safe for children and families. And we are absolutely committed to doing that.
Appreciate that. Okay. So we're wrapping up our discussion with New Urban West this evening. Appreciate everybody attending. These meetings get far more attendance than our normal meetings, and we appreciate it when folks come in and voice their concerns. That's why we're here, and that kind of segues into the last thing that I have for you tonight, and that is the chair's report regarding City of San Diego and their updates, they call them. I call it gutting of Council Policy 600-24. The larger group, or I will say the CPC, the Community Planner Committee, which is comprised of all your community planning chairs throughout San Diego County. Before the policy changes went to the Land Use and Housing Committee at City Council, the CPC asked for some very minor concessions and said we would reluctantly support the changes if Land Use and Housing would implement certain things. And frankly, it's late and I forget exactly what those were. To no one's great surprise, Land Use and Housing ignored any CPC recommendations, went ahead and approved or voted to advance the changes to 600-24 as proposed by Councilman Joe LaCava. For those who don't know what 600-24 is, that is the city council policy that governs community planning groups, which the city of San Diego is getting ready to completely alter and change, which will basically, for lack of a better word, remove community planning groups from, it will untether us from the city, and we will no longer even enjoy the limited status that we have now. We will still be an advisory body, but without any kind of real support from the city. So anyway, I have been a very vocal opponent of these changes at CPC level, and a vast majority of the community planning chairs feel the same way. So now this is eventually going to the city council. I believe that they don't really know exactly when yet. Kyrie Carter let me know that Marnie is going to be hosting the District 5 community planning committee chairs, myself and whatever that is, Mira Mesa, Scripps Ranch, whoever else is in District 5. She's going to meet with us and listen to our concerns on the issue. And, it's the city attorney somehow determined that community planning groups violate the city charter. And this is after community planning groups being in existence since the 1950s. somehow all of a sudden we're in violation of the city charter and need to be reined in. I don't agree with it, and I don't think most of us will agree with it either, but that's the status of it now. And I'll report back after the meeting with Marnie and after the next CPC meeting as to the status of this. All I can say is we're trying, and so far met with very limited success at the city level on getting any concession from them. So that's my report on that for now. And we don't have any outstanding old business, new business, or action items. So that will move us to adjournment unless anybody else would like to add anything to what I just said. Sounds like people are in the mood to go and eat dinner, which I can certainly agree and relate with. So at this point, then we will adjourn the July meeting of the Carmel Mountain Ranch Sabre Springs Community Council. Thank you all for being here, and I'm going to end, well, I'll end the meeting. That'll end the recording. It'll end the Zoom or the Facebook broadcast as well. So thank you, and we will see you next month.
Thanks, Eric.
Good night, all.